Il primo e il più grande dei poteri è la conoscenza di sé.
Hi and welcome to Select 10. In this video, we will count down our recommendations for the top 10 best fantasy shows that you should watch. Also, we won't be including Shadow and Bone, The Witcher, or The Wheel of Time in this video because we have already covered them and many more shows in our previous videos of the fantasy series. Their links are in the description, so you can watch them after this one. Now let's start the video. Number 10. Lunanera. It is an Italian historical fantasy series created by Francesca Manieri. The plot centers on Ade and her brother, who reside in a world where women who are believed to be practicing witchcraft are accused of crimes and hunted by an organization known as the Benandanti. The story is set in 17th century Italy. After losing their grandparents, Ade and her brother flee and seek refuge under the shelter of a tribe of legendary witches, where Ade discovers she is the pre-selected one and has mystical powers. Over the course of the following 6 episodes, Ade must overcome a number of obstacles, including trying to uncover her identity and past, while an unknown stranger attempts to find her and charge her with practicing witchcraft. Overall, the series is slow at first, but as the story progresses, it becomes more exciting. It explores romance, magic, and has a strong storyline with historical elements. And the show has a 5.9 rating on IMDb. Number 9. Ice Fantasy. It is an epic fantasy series based on Guo Jinming's best-selling novel, City of Fantasy. The events of the series occur 1 century after the Fire Kingdom and Ice Kingdom War, when the second king of the Fire Kingdom tragically dies while visiting the Ice Tribe for King Kasuo coming-of-age ritual. Now, in an effort to seek payback, the first Fire King, Huo Yi, exploits this as motivation to ignite a second battle between the two kingdoms. On the other hand, with their family imprisoned, the 2 remaining Ice Kings, Kasuo and Yingkong Shai, travel to the human world and ask for help from Realm Protector Li Luo to collect ice crystals from 6 nations in order to rebuild the ice wall and protect the Ice Kingdom. Overall, it is a terrific series with an outstanding storyline, and once you start watching it, you won't be able to stop yourself from binge-watching it. It's highly recommended for fantasy fans, so don't miss this one. And the series has a 6.6 rating on IMDb. Number 8. The New Legends of Monkey. It is a fantasy adventure series directed by Gerard Johnstone. The series centers on the Monkey King, who was jailed under a mountain 500 years ago by his opponents in heaven. After 500 years, demons have taken control of the mortal world and are torturing its people. The main storyline involves a girl named Tripitaka, 3 lost gods, and their journey to restore the Monkey King and locate the godly scriptures that Monkey stole 500 years ago and hid discreetly on Earth. Whoever discovers the scrolls will possess limitless power. Later in the series, they go on a mission with a Monkey King across an old and magical realm currently controlled by dark monsters to acquire 7 sacred manuscripts and rescue the Earth from evil. It is a good show that is also very entertaining. It has emotion, a quirky sense of humor, and some hilarious action to keep you interested. And the show has a 6.5 rating on IMDb and a 65% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 7. Wolf Like Me. It is a fantasy comedy drama series directed by Abe Forsyth. The plot centers on Gary, a lone parent raising his young daughter Emma in Adelaide, Australia. Both Gary and Emma are still recovering from the psychological trauma caused by the passing of Lisa, Emma's mother, 7 years ago. However, when they meet Mary, a secretive advice writer who is dealing with her own complicated psychological issues, Mary surprisingly seeks to distance herself from Gary and Emma. Despite her best efforts to avoid them, they continue to run into each other in a series of events that seem to point to the hand of fate. Unknown to them, Mary, on the other hand, possesses a lethal magical secret that she believes will harm the two. I won't say any more because doing so could reveal the show's key secret plot, so trust me when I say you do not want to miss this one. It is definitely worth watching. And the show has a 7.2 rating on IMDb and a 91% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 6. Tidelands. It is a fantasy crime drama series created by Stephen M. Irwin. The story follows Cal McTeer, a young woman who, after spending 10 years in a teenage prison, has now returned to her rural fishing community of Orphalin Bay. When she returns home, she learns that her hometown is surrounded by secrets, the biggest of which starts when the corpse of a local fisherman washes up on the beach, and she is forced to explore the town's peculiar people while learning their mysteries. some of whom are members of a violent siren-human hybrid race known as Tidelanders, the offspring of sirens and sea fishermen. While digging deep into the mystery, she intends to expose a long-standing conspiracy of silence about killing, drugs, and sirens. Overall, the series is intense, thrilling, gory, and has incredible cinematography, and if you are into mermaids and sirens, you will enjoy this one. And the series has a 6.8 rating on IMDb and an 86% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 5. Carnival Row. It is a steampunk fantasy series based on Beecham unproduced film spec script, A Killing on Carnival Row. The show is set in a historical fantasy universe populated by legendary immigrant species whose wealthy ancestral lands were overrun by man's kingdoms. This expanding immigrant community battles to coexist with mankind in the city's most impoverished neighborhoods, and they are forbidden to marry, love, or travel freely. The main plot revolves around Rycroft Philostrate, a human investigator, and a fairy named Vignette, who reignite a risky romance in this medieval fantasy land, where the city's fragile peace crumbles when a series of murders uncovers a horrific creature. To be honest, when this show was released, I had pretty low expectations, but after watching, I can tell that the series is excellent and has a great fantasy setting with mythical creatures and humans living side by side. It is absolutely worth seeing. The show has a 7.8 rating on IMDb and an 87% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 4. The Legend of Vox Machina. It is an animated fantasy adventure series created by Critical Role. The show is set in Exandria, an imaginary land, and the major storyline occurs on the island of Tal'Dorei, in places like Emon's City and Whitestone's city-state. The main plot involves 7 outcasts who become warriors and are now more motivated by money than by defending anyone. But when darkness threatens the kingdom, this rowdy group realizes that they are the only ones who can uphold justice and defend the Exandria realm from wicked magical forces. It is a magnificent work of art and a truly spectacular show. If you haven't watched any animated fantasy series yet, I strongly encourage you to do so, because this is unquestionably the best one available right now. The show has an 8.4 rating on IMDb and a 94% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 3. Once Upon a Time. It is a fantasy adventure series created by Edward Kitsis and Adam Horowitz. The show depicts a brand new realm where myths from fairy tales and present reality coexist. The story follows Emma Swan, a bail bonds agent who is happy with her life until Henry, the son she abandoned 10 years earlier, turns up, and he is sure that Emma is the child of Snow White and Prince Charming, who sent her away before the evil sorceress could use a spell to freeze the fairy tale land in eternity and transport them to modern-day Storybrooke, Maine. However, after dropping Henry off at home, Emma chooses to hang around the neighborhood to keep a watch on him and finds out that he might not be entirely wrong. It's possible that many fans of the fantasy genre have already seen this show, so this recommendation is for those who haven't. In simple terms, this show has everything a good fantasy show should have. It is dark, powerful, occasionally romantic, and has numerous unpredictable twists that keep you hooked. And the show has a 7.8 rating on IMDb and a 78% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 2. Bulgasol, Immortal Souls. It is a Korean fantasy historical drama directed by Jang Young-woo. The series chronicles the lives of 2 main characters, a woman who recognizes her previous lives by dying and coming back to life over and over again for 6 centuries, and a man who has spent the entire time as a Bulgasol, a mythological beast that lives off human blood and is doomed with immortality. However, the real story starts when Bulgasol seeks vengeance from a woman with an enigmatic past and present, whom he holds accountable for his eternity and the hardships he has suffered for the past 600 years in an effort to break his curse. I could go on for minutes praising this show, but let's make the video duration as fair as possible. The series is absolutely outstanding in every way. It has a compelling plot with lots of twists, mind-blowing cinematography, and is a must-watch on this list. The show has a 7.3 rating on IMDb and an 84% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 1. Wynonna Earp. It is a dark fantasy supernatural series developed by Emily Andra. The main story revolves around Wynonna Earp, who has spent a long time away from her homeland of Purgatory but has now returned to unwillingly assume the responsibility of evil defender that Wyatt Earp's successor is predestined to play. Her job is to eliminate revenants, the reincarnated spirits of the villains her great-grandfather killed. In order to accomplish this, Winona joins forces with her sister Waverly, the mercenary Xavier Dawes, and Doc Holliday, Wyatt Earp's immortality-cursed closest friend, to prevent the Revenants from occupying Purgatory and releasing themselves into the outside realm. Overall, the show includes it all, from spells to monsters to vampires to the devil himself. It's raw, gritty, and well worth watching. Although it might sound similar to other supernatural fantasy shows, this one has its own unique plot and stands apart from the rest. The show has a 7.3 rating on IMDb and a 78% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. That's it for today. Thank you for watching this video. And do subscribe our channel to see more videos related to movies and series suggestions.